Now this chapter again deals with the cost of capital and the appropriate cost of capital to worry about if you're a company now is the weighted average cost of capital. And this is a problem that's going to introduce you to the weighted average cost of capital. Now, just as a student, you should understand that if the question is ever, what's the weighted average cost of capital? The first thing you always have to do is calculate all the component costs of capital. And once you have all of that, then you can indeed calculate the weighted average cost. Now, this particular problem reads this way. It says Midwest Electric Company, MEC, uses only debt and common equity. It can borrow unlimited amounts at an interest rate of 10% rather, as long as it finances at its target capital structure, which is 45% debt and 55% common equity. Its last dividend, D0, was $2. Its expected constant growth rate is 4%, and its common stock sells for $20. MEC's tax rate is 40%. Two projects are available. Project A has a rate of return of 13%, while Project B's return is 10%. These two projects are equally risky and about as risky as the firm's existing assets. A part, what is the cost of common equity? The B part, what is the weighted average cost of capital? And the C part, which projects should Midwest accept? Now, this accepting projects, and this is really a capital budgeting concept. As a financial manager, you only want to accept projects whose rates of return are greater than the cost of capital, greater than the weighted average cost of capital. Now, they're asking us to calculate the weighted average cost of capital. So we're going to calculate all the component costs of debt. Midwest Electric now uses debt and equity. The debt financing, they tell us that they can raise unlimited amounts at 10%, and they're in the 40% tax bracket. That makes the cost of debt after taxes 6%. The cost of equity is D1 over P0, the dividend we expect one time period from now, divided by the current price of the stock in the market, plus the constant growth rate, which in this case they tell us is 4%. Now they gave us D0, the dividend now. We don't really want the dividend now, we want the dividend one time period from now. So if you take D0 and multiply it by 1 plus the growth rate, 1.04, that gives you D1. So that's going to be $2.08. Divide that by the price of the stock in the market, add 0.04 to that, and then you calculate it, you get something like 0.1440 or 14.40%. So there are two sources of capital that this company uses, debt financing and equity. To calculate the weighted average cost of capital now, you take each component cost of capital, in this case debt and equity, multiply the weight that it makes up of the capital structure, times its component cost, sum those products, and you get the weighted average cost of capital. So for the debt portion now, debt makes up 45% of the capital structure. Every dollar they raise, 45% of it, 45 cents, comes from debt. And debt has a cost after taxes of 6%. 0.45 times 6% gets us this product, 2.70. Equity makes up 55% of the capital structure, and its cost is 14.40%. 0.55 times 14.40, 7.92. Sum these products, you get the weighted average cost of capital, which is 10.62%. Now there were two projects that they were looking at. One had a rate of return of 13%, Project A. Its return is greater than the weighted average cost of capital. We would accept that project. Project B had a 10% rate of return. Well, the rate of return is less than the cost of capital. You reject the project. So we would only accept Project A. And this acceptance or rejection, there's a tie-in here to the value of the firm, which we'll learn about when we get to the capital budgeting chapter. But for what I want you to know now is that you only accept projects whose rates of return are greater than the cost of capital.